3.
Hi, I'm Leslie Anderson, and we're at the Richmond Public Library's Lunch Book Club. And today is day 42 of the Richmond Public Library's 100 Days RVA Reads, a program promoting PBS and WCVE's The Great American Read. Today, we're at the main branch of the Richmond Public Library. This group book club has been going on for many years. The book we've chosen from the list of the PBS and WCVE Great American Read is Tales of the City by Armistead Maupin. And looking at our members of our club, this book might be thought to be a little bit unusual for us to read, but many of us lived during that era, and Rosa, who's with us, is our youngest member, and she was probably in Korea during that time, during the 1970s. So we're going to get started in discussing this book. I guess the questions I would like to ask are, as you read this book, what did you think of the fact that it was really an episodic, that they wrote this, the author wrote this as pieces for a newspaper, and then he put it into a novel. Did it read like a novel to everybody?
It did to me, but an awfully easy read. I felt like it was just so, so easy to pick up, put down, and it was an easy read. I enjoyed it.
It read like a series of entertaining mini essays to me. And each one moved along very well, so I agree with Georgie that it was very fast, easy to read, but I don't know whether I would call it a novel in the traditional sense, because it was perhaps a little too, I guess, choppy for that status, but I thoroughly enjoyed the read, though.
Yeah, it felt like a serial that, a series of essays more than maybe a fiction, even though the characters were fictional.
Yeah, and he did weave their inner relationships very well, but nonetheless it was, I just couldn't get that picture of this was a newspaper column and another newspaper column and another one. It would have been very entertaining to read and look forward to each day in a newspaper. And I think it worked well as a book. It's just vastly different from what I expected. I had no idea.
Well, I knew that it was a series of articles written for the newspaper, so I kind of knew that ahead of time and factored that into my read. So I guess I'd say that I didn't really enjoy it as a unit. It seemed kind of choppy to me.
Yeah, I wonder if they put a serial in the newspaper now, whether they might sell more newspapers, but they probably can't afford to do that.
Yeah.
So,
Especially not on this topic.
Not on what?
Not on this topic.
Oh, on this topic? Oh, that would probably sell papers. From a naive Midwestern secretary exploring San Francisco for the first time to a pot-smoking landlady with an elusive past, we meet a variety of different characters in the world of Maupin's book. Who was your favorite character? Why? With whom do you identify?
Did you identify with anybody, Rosa? Or did you like anybody?
To me, if I want to choose one character, maybe the Marianne, because newcomer, newbie, the fantastic city. I think it is just like me. This novel is completely different thing. So at the first phase, I said, "Oh, this is a very easy English," but I found out that the diction or the saying is too much natural, so too many slangs, so I cannot catch. So maybe as an adventurer, as an explorer, maybe the Marian that character is more attractive to me than our characters.
I really liked Mrs. Madrigal. particularly identify with her, but maybe a little bit. Yeah, I would like to be Mrs. Madrigal.
Why would you want to
Maybe.
do that?
Just because she's so far out,
Oh,
and I'm
okay.
not.
Oh,
She was my least favorite.
Is that right?
Yes, yeah.
oh, why was that?
I don't know. I guess it's because your upbringing, it was drilled into our heads that you didn't do drugs. It was
Oh.
just against the law for one reason. And I don't know, I just sort of had this image of her as a drug pusher. And I know that that's not fair, so that was not the whole part of her. But she was older than the rest of them, and I just kept censoring she should know better. I was very sympathetic toward Michael Mouse's
Yeah.
character because he had a very generous heart, and I think he was quite disappointed on the doctor not pursuing him, and in effect he caused that, and he knew that, and it was tough for him to take, but yet he was very good to Mona. He was very good to Mary Ann, and I just thought he was the most sympathetic character. Even with his parents, he did a great job when they came to visit. And I thought that was, quite well handled by the author. The author was extraordinarily skillful in a lot of ways, I think.
He definitely, the author definitely kind of made some characters very sympathetic and some like the devil incarnate, like Beaucamp. I thought he was an awful guy, and which was the only reason why I liked Mary Ann, and I'm a Midwesterner, and I could understand her, but then when she was had an affair with Beaucamp, I went, she has no judgment. And I liked Michael. I liked Edgar too, because I think Edgar was realizing that he was at the end of his life and he needed to experience something good and wonderful at the end of his life.
And I just wondered if I've known a lot of Dee Dees in my life.
Oh, I know I have. But she turned out to be a very favorable character. I mean, I think, you could understand why she was the way she was. I mean, because she was brought up to be the way she was. But still, I felt, her vulnerability was touching.
Did you have any favorite characters, Marcia?
I guess I liked Mouse.
Yeah, I think he basically had a good heart, and I think part of the problem was they were living during an era where there wasn't gay marriage. There weren't any norms that they had to comply with, or were available to them, and then they were in this place where they could be themselves, and it just sort of was liberating for people to do whatever. And I think they found, people found after they went through that phase that there was other phases that they would go through, could go through that were more normalizing for them, but they weren't allowed to in the 70s. So, yeah, Michael wanted true love, it sounded like, generally to me, and he wasn't really allowed that openly, and it wasn't part of the norms of either his culture or of the society as a whole. You could say one of the most colorful characters in the book is the setting itself, which is San Francisco in the 1970s. And I think this applies to Rosa because every chapter is laden with rich and vivid references to everything from macrame, I don't know if you know what macrame is, to EST, that's kind of a psychology class that or organization that people belong to, from transcendental volleyball, I've never heard of that, to Rolfing. As a reader in 2013, did you find these references enhanced the story or distracted you from it? And were there some that were too obscure you simply didn't understand? I think that was part of what you were saying,
Yeah.
the slang you didn't understand.
Oh yeah, because even this novel is written 4 decades ago, and I think this novel is really shocked to me. I cannot believe that they are talking about the sexual life very freely in those old days, and I think it's when I try to compare the lifestyle, the current Denver life, and back then 40 years ago, San Francisco, still San Francisco, the life is much liberal than here, the West. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know, but I don't want to talk to this. Story is a kind of soap opera plot, more than that. But any episode and any character is really shocked to me. Yeah.
I did enjoy that. I did enjoy those references, though. I found myself kind of laughing out loud every now and then when he went to Weegens and Charlie perfume and all that sort of thing. I went,
Yeah, I did too. It was helpful to know a lot of those references. I didn't know transcendental volleyball.
No.
You missed that.
I missed that because I don't like volleyball, but.
I think they helped enrich the setting tremendously, and I was familiar with most of them. There may be a couple, but I think that the author uses irony incredibly well. Like in this sentence, which to me sums up the whole book, is when Michael is sort of worried with his parents being there to visit, and he's kind of worried about their reaction. And he's thinking, and he says, just the sentence, he says, in this town, he thought, the love that dares not speak its name almost never shuts up. He's figured out a place to take his parents to eat.
That's right.
And that, I thought, there's a lot of really funny irony in this book, like the poor fellow Vincent that commits suicide when he's helping on the suicide hotline, and he does it organically with a macrame robe. I mean, that is just, it's hysterically funny to me, but it's hysterically sad too, because it reflects the author's thinking, and there's just many instances of that. When he describes Dee Dee's wedding, the parents are happy because she's an individual, but she's entering into a union, which of course they probably know Beauchamp is not any good. I thoroughly enjoyed his sense of humor among a lot of things in the book.
I thought that helped make the book
Yeah.
more readable, that he did have quite a sense of humor.
Like when Dee Dee's pregnant and her friend Binky says, well, I think you're getting much too heavy about this whole business. And she's starting to show. I mean, it's a type of humor that you don't find in other stories. And this is probably the first book that to me has been so focused on the gay lifestyle and the sexual revolution of the 70s. It probably tells it better than any kind of other story.
And it was written that long ago.
Yeah.
And I think as a serial in the newspaper, you would have to, each one on its own would have to be, if this author was known for humor, he would, that would be part of what he would need to do as a serial in the newspaper. He would want people to read it because there was humor in the article. And I think there were a lot of columnists who were humor columnists during those times that put things in the newspaper. I think less so now, but that may be part of, he needed to include the humor in the story.
When the doctor is doing drugs with his friends and they're bored out of their minds, and he says, well, things go better with Coke. You know what he's talking about. He's not talking about a soft drink.
Coca-Cola, right?
They're looking for some drugs. And that was a big part of that scene, I think.
And that was an ad, wasn't it, on television?
Yes.
Things go
Yeah,
better.
things go better with Coke, yes. So, are we needing to finish up? or-
Just for now.
Okay.
Then you can continue.
Well, Richmond, we hope you got a little taste of this book, and Richmond, let's read.